Christian who's coming to Bethlehem.
Thank you. Oh, my voice. Get my voice back together. All right, good stuff, good stuff. I've been going around the state doing Black History presentations inside of the prisons throughout the state. And also I just come back from Indiana, Branchville Correctional Institution. It was kind of spooky out there. I stayed in a hotel. It was in Tell City out there, and it was the Ramada. But when I pull up to this hotel, I kid you not, I was the only car there in the hotel. It felt like some Norman Bates. I felt like I was at the Bates Hotel. And I'm telling you, I was definitely spooked out, right? And then when I went out and I said, man, let me go ahead and get something to eat, I go to a restaurant. It was nobody at the restaurant again. So I'm like, hold up. It's open, but it's like the sign swinging, and I'm like, I'm on a mission here, and this is challenging me every step of the way. As soon as I got back I was going to order the pizza. So I'm just going to order pizza. I'm not about to play around with these people out here, right? So I say, man, let me go ahead and go to another restaurant that had at least some people in there and has some type of population. I go to that restaurant, I eat, and then when I went back to my room at the Ramada, you know what I did? I immediately locked the door and I put the chain on it. I'm like, man, I'm not even playing around out here. So I've been going around and I've been talking with men and who are incarcerated, also working with juveniles who are incarcerated as well. And I always say, I was just telling somebody that I was talking to earlier, I said, man, it is something magical that happens when I have the opportunity to present in front of the population who are incarcerated, and just the way that I'm able to get their attention and then get them to believe, because that is what it is all about, is getting them to believe that where they are at is not where they need to be, and where they are at is not their end game. And if they can turn it around, then they will be able to accomplish something else that is greater. It is a lot of times it's the mentality that gets us incarcerated. It's these philosophies that we develop from the ideas that we are getting from our communities, the philosophies that we develop that puts us in bad situations, that puts us in places that we don't want to be at in life. You absolutely right. So I say, man, let me go ahead and so every time I get the opportunity to get in front of the people, I jump on it. So then that's why I'm also excited to be in front of you all today, this morning, because you all will help with the overall mission. I mean, just for you to be in this building and say that you want to be a part of this, I don't take that for granted. And I'm going to utilize the 15 minutes that I have, and I'm going to squeeze the juice out of it, because I know that we press for time, right? So I'm going to make sure that we cover the things that we need to cover, and just to inspire you and let you know that what you are doing is critical to really cutting the school to prison pipeline in half. And then let's tie it up so can't nobody else go through it. So where I come from, and I'm gonna give you the backstory, and then I'm going to explain how we are going to really just dominate the school to prison pipeline and get rid of it, right? I mean, I see it. I have the vision. It's inside of me. A vision is not something that you can see with your eyes. It's something that has been placed in your heart. Your eyes give you sight, but the vision is something that has been placed in your heart. It's something that you believe, right? I really do believe it, right? And this is the way. So we're going to get some good information on how we are going to break the school to prison pipeline. So when we leave out of here, we are going to be super duper excited, and people are going to be able to be excited with us as well. We are going to be the light in people's lives. There's no such thing as darkness, right? It's just an absence of light. And we are going to be that light, correct? Absolutely. Let's illuminate. All right, so 13 years old, I started selling drugs, and I got hit at 19 years old with a 10-year prison sentence for attempted murder, possession of drugs, drug trafficking, and possession of firearms. The philosophy that I had developed during that time when I was in the streets was based on ideas that was given to me from my community. People told me that, Carlos, this is the way that you get it done. This is the way that you are going to be able to get to another level of life. This is how you come against being in a position where you lack power, because that's something that when you coming up in these adverse communities, one thing that you feel like that you don't have is power. Everything that is being told to you is what you don't have, and that's what you start to focus on. So you start to say, hey, I don't have money. So now you start to understand that money is the solution in your mind. This is how we start to develop this philosophy that puts us in prison, and this is what we got to come against, right? So I started to develop that philosophy, and I was just committed. I'm talking about all the way in. If y'all can't tell that right now, is that I'm an all the way in type of guy. That's why it really does matter what I'm all the way in on. Because if I'm all the way in on the wrong thing, I'm going to be all the way in on the wrong thing. If I'm all the way in on the right thing, I'm going to be all the way in on the right thing, right? And right now, I'm really all the way in on the right thing, and that's why it's so exciting. But when I was on the other side of did y'all get my logo up? Oh, never mind, forget it. Okay. When I was on the other side, I was all the way in and being a liability in my community, draining my community because of the philosophy that I had developed to get me through life. See, the philosophy will get us to our destination. Whatever that destination is going to be based on the philosophy that we have developed. And when I realized that I had to serve a 10-year prison sentence inside a Marion Correctional Institution based on the philosophy that I had developed from those ideas that I was given, that's when I said, hold up, something is not right. See, that's the main indicator to you understanding that the philosophy that you have developed is wrong based on the results that you are receiving. So I said that, you know what, I got a 3-month-old son. I was proud to be a father. And I said that, man, how am I going to raise my son? And I'm incarcerated for 10 years. And not only that, but if I don't teach my son what he needs to know, then it is a good chance that he will get incarcerated as well. I grew up in a single parent household. My father raised me and my brother. My mother, she got addicted to crack back in the 80s, and she could not be there. My mother, she got incarcerated when she was coming up doing her thing. And guess where that led to for me and my brother? We both got incarcerated. So I said that, hold up, I got to do something about this, because I understand that the school to prison pipeline is real. I was 19 years old when I graduated from high school, because my father was there and he made sure that we stayed in school, and he always encouraged school. My grandmother as well. My grandmother raised me alongside with my father, and my grandmother graduated from Oberlin College back in the days when she was 40 years old. She was working in children's services for Cuyahoga in Cleveland. So she always encouraged education. So I always wanted to come from a thinking place. I didn't want to come from a feeling place, because I believe that if I come from a feeling place, then I won't get to my destination, because I understand that when we rely on feelings go up and down. You feel good today, you feel bad tomorrow, and you will not get to the place in life that you need to be. So I need to make sure that my mind is getting me to where I need to be. So then that's when I started to attack my philosophy. What was I thinking? And I wanted to get here, but is the philosophy correct? And it wasn't. Because it's no way that I can say that I'm going to bury my friend because he was stealing drugs from me. About money, things that we can make. Money is made by human beings. There's no way that I can say that money is more valuable than a human being when the money is made by a human being. If it was no human being, it would be no money. It's not the other way around. Money does not produce people. A Mercedes-Benz does not make a person. A person makes that. That's why the Rolls Royce is so valuable right now, because it takes 6 months to make, and it's made by the human hand. Whereas a Honda, it takes 12 months, six. It doesn't take that long to make, right? It's made like it's made in like 12 hours. Philosophy, right? So I started to come against that philosophy that I had when I was incarcerated. And I said that, you know what, hold up, I need to go out there and get some different information that contradicts the information and the ideas that I was given by my neighborhood that put me in a place that is undesirable. And I said, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get different information. Now, I was also influenced by my grandmother, who was from the South, and she used to tell me about scripture. And when she told me about scripture, I said, I don't know about that, Graham, because that scripture is going to jinx what I'm doing. So I mean, if it's going to get me out of my court case at the time, I'll go ahead and take it in and see what it'll do. So I read a little bit of it, and then I put it back. I put it inside of my trunk up under one of my speakers, because I said I don't want it to come against what I'm trying to do out here in the streets, because I wasn't raised in the church. I've never went to church in my life before I got incarcerated. I didn't know anything about scripture. I didn't know why Christmas was Christmas. I didn't know why Easter was Easter, because my father and my grandmother, who was in the education, she never pushed that on us. They never pushed that on us as well. And my grandmother from the South, she says that if you don't have the clothes that you need to wear to church, you ain't got to go. But she just told me about it, so I always conveniently never had the clothes to go to church, because I had rather play football with my friends. So I was excited, right? So, but with that being said, she just introduced it to me. So when I got incarcerated and I'm serving a 10-year prison sentence, and my son is 3 months old and he would be 10 when I had got released, I said that, you know what, I need to do something different, because I was just hungry. I was thirsty to be a father. I wanted to be a good father to my son. I wanted to be that father that was going to lead him in the direction that he needed to be, to where he's not ending up in a place to where he says that, man, I done been given some bogus information, bad ideas to develop a philosophy that has put me in a place that I do not desire to be. I didn't want my son to be an adult and have to go through that as well. So I was thirsty to become the father, and because of my desire that was placed inside of my heart to become that father, I was able to go out and get things to help me become a better man and a better father. And where I started at was inside of the scripture. I got from Genesis to Revelations, and I read it from front to back. I didn't go to the church inside of the prison. I went to Bible study. And then I also watched T.D. Jakes on Thursday night, The Potter's House, and I was just getting it in, just always just inside of the scripture, and starting to develop a new mentality, a new way of thinking, a new philosophy, to where I said that I need to be an asset. I need to be the light in my child's life. I need to be a light inside of the prison. And this is what happened with me, and this is how the evolution started to happen. And people say that, man, Carlos, man, prison changed you. I say, prison didn't change me. Scripture changed me. Prison just showed me that I wasn't in the right place, and I had a philosophy that wasn't right. But prison alone doesn't change people. It was different information that I was able to obtain that led me to developing a philosophy that fit outside of prison. So after man, getting introduced to scripture and things like that, I said, man, I still got to do a lot of more work. And now I need to start to set myself up so I can have some tools in my belt so I can function inside of society. And then I got into college, Marion Technical College for business management. I graduated with a 3.83 GPA inside of the prison. I got into administrative office technology for vocational training. Learned the computers, Microsoft Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and Access, because I said that I need to get these tools under my belt. I got into Spanish. Exio mucho, pero traigo mucho a la mesa. I demand a lot, but I bring a lot to the table. I got everything that I possibly could get while I was incarcerated. So now when I get released and that opportunity of release comes, I won't squander the opportunity. Why? Because I'm prepared for the opportunity, and I can maximize my opportunity to be that father that I need to be that man that I need to be, and I can go out there and be the light to people that I need to be in dark places. I got released 2007. I got released in 2007, and when I get released in 2007, it's right before the economy was declared the Great Recession. The economy was declared the Great Recession in December 2007. I got released to the halfway house in February of 2007. I got out of the halfway house in August 2007. So then this is when the economy was already in a recession. The government just hadn't announced that it was in a recession yet. So now I'm coming home from prison with attempted murder, possession of drugs, drug trafficking, possession of firearms on my background. But what I had on me too as well was just a changed mind, an evolved mind, an individual with a new philosophy. So when I came home, I said that I gotta do what I need to do to be what? That father, because I wanna make sure that my son doesn't end up in the same place that I just came back from, that I understand that is not a good place to be. I got a job, $6.85 an hour. Minimum wage. I worked it like it was $40 an hour because I said that, you know what? I heard a brother Les Brown, he says, you ain't got to be great to get started, but you got to get started to be great. I said, absolutely right. You know, so let me get started at this $6.85 an hour job, working like it was $40 an hour, establish the relationships inside of that employment opportunity to where other employees are going to different jobs and they are reaching back to me and saying, I got the connection with the supervisor. Come on with me, Los. I'm going to put in a good word to the supervisor on behalf of you because of who me and you are, and we got a strong, positive relationship. So that strong, positive relationship put me in a position to be able to overcome my background. Because it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, right? If you know the right people, you can get in places that other people can't get into who don't know that person. It's people when you see at different spots and things like that, you see a long line, and you ever seen some people, they just can go right up to the front of the line? It's because they know certain people to be able to get that done. So I developed the relationships that I needed to develop so I can continue to level up in my living. I went from the 685, I went to 8, I went to 9, and I just got a little bit more benefits, and I just worked it right in the middle of the recession. I got released in 2007. When I came home, I moved, I was in Cleveland, and I left the halfway house. I went to the halfway house, and after the halfway house in August, I moved into my own apartment. I had my own apartment and everything, no lie, because I saved up from that minimum wage job, right? So when I got released from the halfway house, I had $3,500 from the halfway house that I had made from the minimum wage job because I was just saving up my money. So I paid $475, first month's rent, $475 for the security deposit, totaled out to $950 to move in off of 30th and Carnegie. Why was it $475? Because it had critters running all through it. I'm talking about roaches was everywhere, and they were aggressive. Carnegie, they were aggressive, and they were so disrespectful. It's bringing back some memories here. Because they don't respect nobody. They don't care about you paying for the food. They don't care about that. They say, we paying on the rent too, good brother. How you think you close to downtown? This is why you close to downtown, brother. That's why you getting it for the low. Because we going in on the rent. I said it makes sense. I tried to bomb the place and they got more aggressive. It's like they got more stronger. I say, how y'all get more stronger after I put a bomb on y'all? They morphed into something different. I tried to tell my guy, I say, man, come on up here, man, check them out, man. They disrespectful, they don't care about nothing. And he says, Los, man, you got the bachelor pad, man. I'm telling you, it's nice. It's already furnished and everything. I said, man, I'm telling you, man, you just don't know. And when he come up there, they was nowhere to be found. And I say, man, where y'all jokers at? And he said, Los, man, you just making stuff up. And then when he leaves out, they look at me and say, man, what the heck is you doing, brother? Don't nobody know about us but us and you, brother. Don't be talking about us to nobody else. I say, man, y'all brothers are so disrespectful. It was so disrespectful. All right. But I was able to really get it done, and I'm dead serious. But it was the philosophy that I had that helped me to be able to get to my destination, because I was saying to myself that it's not about all of that. It's not about the things that I don't got. It's about what I do got. It's not about what I lost, it's about what I have. So I got to focus on that. So I said that, yeah, although it's roaches going through my apartment and they are aggressive, at least I know that I'm not going inside of a cell block nowhere. At least I know I'm not standing up for counsel. I'm doing way better than I was last year right now. So because I said to myself that, it helped me to be able to function and deal with that opportunity and maximize that opportunity to be able to get done what I needed to get done. I immediately found my soon-to-be wife, and we ended up getting a divorce. But my soon-to-be wife, I found her at the football field with my son. My son, who was 10 years old when I had got released, he was playing football in Columbus, Ohio. His mother had ended up moving to Columbus, Ohio from Lorain County when I was incarcerated. And when I came out here to Columbus, I was working a job because I was working construction. I was working on the Polaris out there in Polaris, building the Hilton Hotel out there. So then they was contracting us to come out here to work that job, and I would leave from there at the end of work and I would go check out my son, because the desire to be a father was just even more stronger now that I had the opportunity to be able to come in contact with him every single day. And I was a free man, and I didn't have to wait for visits, and I didn't have to wait for, somebody to bring him. I could actually go and see him and give him the information that he needs so we can develop a philosophy that will put him in a premier place. So I was excited about that opportunity. And I can remember that when I go to the football field, I seen my wife and my soon-to-be wife, and we hit it off because her son was out there too on the same team, and I gave her some advice about her son, and then I gave her some Spanish too. Exio mucho, pero traigo mucho, a la mesa. She says, this brother got gifts. He knows Spanish. He's bilingual. I said, absolutely. Let's make it happen, right? So I was just excited, right? So long story short, she says, man, you know what? This brother is the brother that I need to be with. She says, man, we got together and things like that. And the next thing that I know, I got out in August 6th. By October 31st, now remember, I had my bedroom, I had my one room, my apartment, I had my job, I had a car because I got a car my second day out because I had the $3,500, right? So I took the $1,750, went on the west side, West 65th and Clark in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was able to buy a vehicle for $1,750. Now, the paint job was a bit off, and it looked like, it looked like the world pop, it looked like the world. It looked like the globe. You can see, like, it looked like America here, it looked like South America there, it looked like Africa over there. That's how the paint was peeling, in that type of format. But it was mine. It was a 1995 Buick Regal. It was mine, right? So I was able to have the car. So I had everything that I needed to have to really get started. So my soon-to-be wife said, man, come on down here, brother. You got a job, you got a car, you got your own place. Brother, you ready to go. I'm like, absolutely. She says, move down here. And she put the pressure on me. She says, hey, listen, man, hey, we might as well just break up because it's wintertime. We might as well just go ahead and break up because you ain't about to be traveling back and forth in the winter. Now, I did 10 years and I was in love. I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and resign from my job and move down to Columbus. Oh, shit. Oh, jeez. I was going to tell y'all how to break the prisoners.
Give us a little snippet.
Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and get it done. Right. So I had said that. I said, man, you know what? I say, man, I got to really get it done. So I needed to be a part of my son's life. So I was able to get down here, and his mother ended up signing custody of our son over to me. She said that I need you to go ahead and raise him to be a man. And then he ended up graduating from Westerville South. He went to college. You know, I've had 2 children. After that, I got an 11-year-old son that me and my wife had, and now I got a 4-year-old baby girl as well, and I'm just influential in their lives. So how do we break the school to prison pipeline in half? The way that we do it is that we got to be the parents, and everybody touched on being the parents, because it's all about us giving our children what they need to have so then they can become who they need to be. The reason why we end up in bad places in life is because we just don't know how to be. At 13 years old, I didn't know how to be, so I got the advice from individuals who say, go ahead and shoot up the block, go ahead and sell all of those drugs. That's where I got my advice from to develop my philosophy, and that's why I ended up in the place that I ended up in. So I just want to share with y'all just one story, and this is what we are going to close with, is the one story that I want to share with y'all, how important that parenting is, because right now with the Starts Within organization, we have just been given a $150,000 grant to service 100 fathers per calendar year for the next 2 years at the Ohio Commission, under the Ohio Commission on Fatherhood in Richland County, and it's been critical, because getting individuals to understand how to establish that relationship with that child so then they can develop and become an adult that is successful is critical. It goes back to the parents, and everybody in here who is working in children's services, like Judge Ryan said, is that you are the parents. So now we got to literally focus on how are we developing our kids and who are we developing them to become. Right? So with my son, with all of my children, I cover 4 goals. The 4 goals that I cover is always based on what type of character that I want them to be. Not the type of profession that I want them to be, but what type of character that I want them to be. Because I believe that if they become the right type of character, then they will be successful and they will not end up in prison. So then the 4 character traits that I have that my parenting is revolves around is confidence, self-regulated, good decision-making, and also be an individual that brings value back to the table. And when I see them exhibiting some of my goals that I have for them in their character, then I encourage the behavior, because when you focus on the positive, you will see more positive. But the issue is that we focus on what is wrong, and then that's why we get more wrong. So when we are interacting with our kids, we got to make sure that we focus on the things that they are doing right, so then we can see more right until that right just becomes them. Right? So I was looking at the self-regulated. I had my son, and he was getting up. He gets up by himself. He's in the 6th grade right now. He gets up by himself. He gets in the shower by himself. He gets that done by himself because of me focusing on the way that I interact with him to make sure that he has the character traits that will warrant success. So I can remember that one morning I got up and I was a bit late, and when I go into his room, he has his own bathroom, and I go into his room, he's playing the game. It was 8:10. School bus came at 8:20. And I said, man, hold up. I said, brother, how come you ain't getting ready? He says, man, because you ain't turned on the shower. You usually turn on the shower, Dad. I said, oh, that's crazy. Okay, cool. So then I told him, I said, man, you're going to be late today. So what I did is I showed him how to turn on. This is the left. This is the cold. This is the right. This is the hot. You pull up the middle, then the shower will come out. That's how you get it done. You got it? He says, yes, I got it. Right? So a couple of days later, he was late for the bus. A couple of days later, I come into the room. Again, I woke up a bit late, and when I come into the room, I hear the shower going, and he's up under the shower, and he's like, Dad, I'm in the shower. And I says, that's what I'm talking about. I encourage the behavior. I said, son, that's what I'm talking about, man. You regulating yourself. You know that you needed to be at school. You know you need to make the bus, and because you doing what you need to do, man, you're going to make the bus. But not only that, but when you become an adult, if you have the ability to regulate yourself, you will be in premier situations. Good stuff, son. He felt a certain type of way. It massaged his confidence in a certain type of way. So I'm just developing my child so prison cannot touch him, right? So I remember another time that I come into the bathroom a couple of days later, and I need to get some toothpaste because I used all of my toothpaste. And I go in there and I say, man, let me go ahead and get the toothpaste for my son because he has his own tube. So when I go in there and get the toothpaste, out of the corner of my eye, I see a balled up rag. And I say, man, dang, the rag is balled up. And he just brushed past me, right, with the wet body, with the towel around him. And he's like, Dad, I'm doing my thing. I was like, no doubt, son, right? And I see the rag and it's balled up real tight. And I look at it and I say, hold up, let me do a little bit of further investigation. And when I look in the corner of the tub, also what I seen outside of the balled up rag was the soap. The soap was stuck to the corner of the tub. And I said, hold up, this brother's just getting in the shower and rinsing off. This brother is not washing up. So immediately, I'm like, let me go ahead and ask this brother what's going on. And he's doing this thing. He's about to play his game because he had a little bit of time left. And I said, son, hey, what's going on, son? Hey, man, do you use soap when you get in the shower? And he looks at me and he says, nah, Dad. I say, why not, son? He said, because it takes too long. I say, it takes too long, so now, this is what I want you to catch, and then we wrapping it up. This is what I want you to catch, because it's during these times to where us as parents, only thing that we see was that was wrong. So now, only thing that I will address is what? Is him not getting in the shower. And this is how the interaction could have been if I didn't have the skill sets that I have in parenting and interacting with my children and focused on the mission, right? I could have came at him like this. What is wrong with you? That's your problem. You always trying to cut corners. You gonna be late for school, and that's your problem right there. Man, get your butt in the shower. I don't want to hear from you for the rest of the day. That is pretty much accurate. But when you do that, what are you telling him that was right? Because he still did some right? What did he do that was right? The first thing that he did, he told the truth. He didn't lie. The second thing that he did, he still got up on his own. He still got in the shower on his own. He's just missing one of the things. That's all he's missing is just using the soap. So what I did is I made sure that I identified the positive, because what am I doing? I'm making sure that I'm developing a confident individual. I'm making sure that I'm developing a self-regulating individual. I'm making sure that I'm developing a good decision maker. I'm making sure that I'm developing an individual that brings value back to the table. And I'm intentional, and I cannot let my feelings deter me from getting that accomplished. I gotta operate from my mind when I'm interacting with my son, because if I don't, then my son will end up in prison in a place that he doesn't need to be. So exactly what I said was, son, man, that's good stuff, man. I see what you're doing, man. You getting up on your own. You making sure that you're getting in the shower on your own. You in the 4th grade. This was when he was in the 4th grade. I said, you in the 4th grade, son. That's a beautiful thing, man. Like, not only that, but you told the truth. It is adults who don't tell the truth to avoid consequences. But you told me the truth, son. That is powerful. Good character, son. That's going to take you a long way in the future. But listen, you got to use soap, because if you don't use soap, it's going to be things that grow out of your body that you don't want. And that's how we got it done. But developing my son and my daughter with the right character that they need to have, that's how we will be able to break the school to prison pipeline in half. And that's how we get fathers who are incarcerated. It is 1.3 million people who are fathers and mothers to children under the age of 18. It is 2.7 million children who has an incarcerated parent. If we get the parents incarcerated to start to parent differently, then guess what? Prison will no longer exist, because it won't be the type of people there to be able to populate the prisons, because they have different character. And that's how we get it done. Turn the penitentiary on its head, stand the community on its feet. That's my time.